As many of you know, this is my passion, and I've been able to do a lot of different projects that have created some value already. So we'll go ahead and just kind of show you what it is, because a lot of people are really curious about what is virtual reality, what is augmented reality. All right, this is good stuff. So we go out with the scanners. We have two kind of scanning technologies that's actually being used. So last year we were using, which we're still using today quite a bit, laser scanner by Faro. So that's done predominantly by the retail division. So it works very well outdoors, scans with a laser, captures whatever it sees to the millimeter accuracy, has saved many, many hours for them with actually being able to see the property. They don't have to go out and do it, but also they can provide a file to the architects who don't have to go out with take pictures and with a ruler to measure the as-builts. Right, so then one of the outputs from that device, I was able to figure out a way to do Turing. So some of you may have seen that last year, but this year we have a new scanner technology called Matterport, which is very good for indoors. So office division has actually been using this to scan their office properties. They're ready now. So what you're going to see is actually a prototype that I built for them. So the default output for this is it works very well for web. So you can go right to your web browser, pull it up, and tour the space kind of like Google Street View. And I thought, maybe we can do something better with an app, and we can learn more about the types of, more about the demographic of the people out there. We'll know how many times they're actually using it. We can start to communicate with them. So here, what we're seeing is an app for Office. We can go 2D or 3D. So one of the great things is there's this Google Cardboard. It's like around $20 a pop. Maybe you've seen them already, a little box. Comes in the mail, we can brand it. Once you use it, you give it to your kids. They'll use it for a long time to come. There's a lot of content out there. But if I go 2D, we can see that we can put that logo, we can put other advertising after the fact. So everything you see here is after the fact of the scan. But what's really cool about this is if you like to play like first-person games like Grand Theft Auto, you can actually walk this space, right? So I can walk here, I can get this information. I could maybe make that clickable so we could just dial the phone right from there. So when you have a cardboard on, you actually feel like you're right there. So we'll go all the way to the end so you can really appreciate this. So you can get an idea of the fit and finishes. You can actually see the sockets. That was done with that little scanner over there. So just a moment, we'll take you through all the way. So we could do this with homes. We can do this now maybe internally with retail. Get a real sense for, this is my view from the 9th floor. All right, so this is something we're working on right now. This is one of the prototypes. Thank you.
Hey, John, how long did it take to create that scan with Matterport?
So to create that scan probably took about 2 hours to actually go in the field and actually take the scan of that space. It's about 1 minute per revolution, and you have to scan 8 feet apart. And then it stitches it all together. Actually, later on today, when you guys are working on your innovation concepts, I'll be publishing up on the web the couple pictures that I took here with this. So it's very quick. Actually, like I said, it goes around 1 minute, and about 10 to 15 minutes is a very simple scan. It'll actually be ready to publish to the web. So this particular technology has been around probably 3-4 years, predominantly used by the real estate industry. So anyone who has like high-end homes, used to hire the photographers to go out and take really beautiful pictures, or take, drone footage through the home. If you've ever seen that, that was really cool. And now those same photographers are using that equipment now to give this immersive experience. All right, so now virtual reality. So one of the things that I'm trying to do is actually help, the construction design teams, do their design and build iteration faster. So we can do printing. So we've done some 3D printing. We can go out to the site. Everybody does it right now on paper and marks up drawings with PDF, and it's really laborious. But here you can see this is the rock. So this is our place. I found a technology that actually connects to Revit. So if you know about the BIM program that Clive was explaining before, everything starts with BIM. BIM is like the source of everything. So it's the same model that they use to build the building. It's the same model that they do all the iterations through. At the end, they're going to give that model to operations team, and they'll be able to, service the building faster. And if they ever want to do changes, they'll be able to very quickly run some calculations like, how much square feet of plaster is there, how many light switches, how many XYZ, how many faucets, and they'll have all of that data because it was captured in the model, including the unit price at that time. Okay, so here what's happening is, what we see on the left side is the Revit model. And what we see on the right side is actually a real-time rendering of that Revit model. So the way they do it now is they send that Revit model to a third party who spends like a week or two to make it really pretty, and they make this video and some screenshots, and then they look at all these beautiful JPEGs and stuff. But here, you can actually tour this in real time. So if I make changes to the Revit model, it shows up in about 3 seconds right there. And you can tour it like a video game with a mouse controller or a joystick. So here's another example of how that looks. So this character here is actually being controlled by me. You can walk through the space. You can change the thing. You can look at time of day.
That's the same model as before from the other screen.
Yeah, so that same model that was on the left and right screens in the rock, this is exactly what happened. Now this can actually be exported. So you can actually create this as an executable file and share this with people. So you could actually make this design, and I could share this whoever I want to. You can add those cars after the fact, all of this. So if you saw, the model was just a bare model. So all the people, all the cars, all the trees. Do my Superman run. That's right. So you can also fly. So I was hoping the guy could, like, I'm a big video gamer. I grew up with Atari, you know. So I was hoping maybe I could, like, get some action in there. But no, but you can also fly. So it's one thing to get the perspective as the human, but you can basically fly up. So now we have virtual drone. Right? So now you can see the property from any perspective. So you kind of get the idea here. All right. So now what we're looking at is some of the examples that you're going to see here today and some of the things that we've been working on. So we've got the rock. This curved one you see on the upper right is actually something that we're working on with a company in Irvine. They have very similar technology that's right out here with the Oculus. So if you guys get a chance, do try this Oculus experience. So every step you take in the real world, you take in the virtual world. So here, a lot of people get sick when they wear the Oculus, so we're looking for a way. We don't want our executives to get sick. We don't want our customers to get sick. So what we see with this curved example is it's very hard to see, but there's probably about 6 of us standing there. And because it's curved, it kind of fills your peripheral vision, and you get the sense that you're in that space. And again, you can tour it with a game controller. If you have, we can actually turn it 3D, so you can put like glasses on, like for a 3D movie. And then you get the whole experience in 3D. And actually, multiple people can have the 3D experience if you're standing shoulder to shoulder. It still will kind of focus to your eye, but not much. So then, you know, in my exploration, like, how can I take it further? How can I take it further? What we're seeing here, and this is actually 2 pictures, 1 and 2. So this is a company that's actually doing this. This is a drywall company. So I'm like, why would a drywall company invest all this money in this technology? And they said, we're at the end of the process. And when we bid, it's fixed bid. So any design changes, they eat with the drywall. So it was their motivation to actually build this facility. And as you can see, it's huge. This is a room that actually has 4 projectors. We have 2 up there, 4 projectors that are like 10 feet high, the walls, like 20 feet wide, in a corner thing. You can fit 12 or 15 people in this room. And on one side, again, we have the same technology we see here. So on the bottom one on the left side is the real-time rendering. On the right is actually the floor plan from Revit. And they get a whole bunch of people in there. So they get the general contractors, they get the plumbers, they get the designers. And they all are in this room collaborating and making the changes and understanding where the test fits and where the collisions are and all of this stuff. And the reason they do that is because then when they figure out exactly what they're going to build, then they bid it right the first time. Reduces all the change. It's done quite well. So they do a lot of work with like Kaiser Permanente and stuff like this. So for hospitals, it's been very important from them. And then here, which you can actually experience this, but in this VR example, is in that room, because it's life-size, you have the presence that you're there. And with one click, you can change, for example, here the floor from wood to this 1970s look, because we're bringing back the 70s. But you could also change the walls. Right? So you could change, you know, we could say, okay, what happens if there's a door here? So we can put all different design changes right there and get a sense for that presence. All right, so 3D printing. So 3D printing, you know, even though virtual reality is all cool and gives you that presence, you might get sick, but nothing actually is better than actually touching it for real life. So this is Park Place 3. We worked again with Clive's team, who was gracious enough to help us with this project. So this particular model is printed in 85 hours. It costs about a little less than $8,000 right there. Right, now think about the level of detail that's in that model. How long would it take a model maker to make that out of paper, cutting all those little pieces and stuff? A lot longer than 85 hours, and that was continuous, right? So it's like you just let it print overnight. You don't have to think about it. The other benefit to this printing is that it's actually accurate, right? So whatever's in the Revit model to the millimeter has been represented there to scale. So when you have a model maker make it, they're going to take creative liberties when they're making the model, or if things don't work out, they'll just fudge it because no one's going to know. That is real. So if it doesn't print, it's because there's some issue in the model. So we can also make changes to the model. So we can actually have a dollhouse effect where we could take off the roof and maybe see the floor plans, or we could print it. This one we chose not to do that at the time, but we could print it modular, so we could say, well, what happens if we wanted this one to be like 5 stories high on this side or that? And you can kind of swap that. So we're working, again, with Clive's team, the design team as well at that. We're also working with community development with massing models. So when they're looking at parcels, they do all these like what if scenarios, like, well, what happens if we put retail here and apartments here and office here? And what are the heights? So they can actually print the topo map, and then they can actually put these blocks, like big Lego blocks. And when you print big blocks, it prints real fast, a lot faster than 85 hours. So it gives them a sense of the scale and the light, and they can look at it. Any questions? So we're doing this today. So we have examples of the printing going on that side. So I know everybody's drawn over to this side because you can see it, but there's a whole bunch of stuff going on over here. We have a virtual tour of Apply Vista, I think it is. We've got some augmented reality that we're doing for facilities management, which is actually improving service and workflow out in the field. And then, of course, we have that 3D printing demonstration so you can see it for real. So here's the topo map. This is, I think, Stockholm. So if any of you remember at 550, they used to have that big map room there, right? So here they printed out all of Stockholm. Here's an example of that topo map. Here's an example of massing models in the dollhouse. And now on to the other thing. So the picture that you see in the upper left, I actually set that up. I had this crazy idea to go and try this out. And then I invited Clive, like impromptu. I'm like, you gotta come down and check this out. So he came down and checked it out. He thought it was like pretty cool. So he took his video to put it on BIMTube. And he's like, I want you to go to MVE and show this to them. So I trucked my computer. You can see it on the desk. I trucked a whole bunch of junk over there to MVE and set this up in the conference room and worked out all the kinks. And we did the demo, and it wasn't as cool as this because the screen wasn't that big. When it's really big, it really gives you a sense of presence. But it was cool enough that the lead from MVE said, so by using this technology, I don't have to use SketchUp anymore to do the colors and do that. I'm like, yep. He's like, I want it. Boom. So it just saves them untold hours of doing this other application, because the way the workflow does now is to do the look and feel. They would use one application called SketchUp, then they have to like rebuild it in Revit, and then they have to still give it to another third party to make it beautiful for Bren to approve it. And with this technology, we can like do 2 phases in one, and then still give like the best option to the guys that make it pretty, versus maybe 2 or 3, which is very laborious and expensive. We're actually going to be doing a project with Microsoft HoloLens and Trimble, where we can actually do design visualizations looking at our models, basically in holographic form. So we actually demoed
collaborative,
this.
right? So you can have 3 or 4
shared experience. Yeah, that's the
HoloLenses
important
on
thing.
and all look at the same model and talk about that design together.
Yeah, so this is such a secretive program, and Microsoft is trying to avoid what happened with Google. So Google, of course, is famous for the Google Glass, but it kind of flopped from the consumer perspective, so everybody's chasing enterprise. So Microsoft is so protective, they don't want you to take pictures until they're ready. So they were actually here 2 weeks ago demoing this, and I'm ready to whip out my camera, and they almost jumped me and kicked my butt, but like, no pictures, NDA, no pictures. I'm like, oh man, come on, I gotta get a picture with this, it's too cool. But I got to wear it, but it doesn't matter, I wear these all the time, so I'm all right. But it was really cool to be in the room when they came down. And we're just in the conference room, so if you know 550, we're in like 4A or something. So we're in the big room, it's kind of dim, but the lights are on, and the table's there, but empty. There's a guy with a laptop and this gadget, you put it on, and you look over at the table, and there's nothing on the table, but then all of a sudden, there's the model there. And you can interact with the model, and he presses the button, and the whole room became a street. for real, this really happened. So she's probably in the experience like 5 minutes, and she's just giggling. Like a little. She's like, oh my God. And like, you couldn't imagine just her joy and enlightenment of the experience, which is really cool. So like oftentimes when you see people with the Oculus, they put it on and they're scared and they're nervous and they're gonna fall over and stuff. This one, because you see through, you see the real world and this digital world at the same time. She was able to move about the room with chairs and all this stuff in the way, no problem. She didn't have any issue. She was crouching around like it was second nature, like she wore it before. Chris Marsh, he was laughing. Can't believe it. Chris was laughing there. It was a great experience. He's like, this is awesome. I want it. So it's coming soon. So probably in a few months we'll have this. We're going to trial. I'm sure it's going to last forever, but this is a great start and a great testament to working together with the BIM team, and just, the evolution of this technology and our own experience and exploration in this.